Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mark, and in this video I wanted to give a little bit of an analogy, a little bit of a different perspective on what's happening with the ascension process, what we're going through, how can we see it from a little bit of a different perspective to more easily visualize and navigate this whole process. So if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when I release new videos. I would really appreciate it. So the ascension process, we've all heard many terms with regarding vibration, raising vibration, our vibration dropping, the need to ground, moving energy through our body, varying frequencies, high frequency, low frequency, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, dimensions. That's out there. There's a lot of information out there. But when we're in the midst of this process and we're navigating the ascension process and our vibration is fluctuating and we're looking for things to do to kind of make it a little bit easier, I wanted to offer up this analogy, and I'm hoping this really helps you guys. So when we look at the ascension process, we could look at it as a hot air balloon. Okay, so I look at this hot air balloon and I see that as the body, the physical vessel. Okay, so what's happening is in the ascension process is this balloon is getting lighter. And as this balloon gets lighter, it starts to rise up through the atmosphere. That's what's happening when our bodies are ascending. But many times we go through this process and we kind of look at it from the wrong perspective. Or maybe we go about it a little bit backwards. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. So many of us, and I've done this as well, especially in the early stages of after my awakening in the ascension process, I was striving to raise my vibration, meaning that I would always focus on higher vibrational frequencies. And most of the time that would lead me to ignore the energy within my body, the denser energy that is calling me for acceptance, for love, for recognition, for integration. So when we do this and we look at this in terms of a hot air balloon, what we're doing with this balloon is we are continually trying to force more hot air into the balloon. And what happens when we do this is, yes, the balloon will start to rise and we will move into a higher frequency. But that air, that hot air that's causing this balloon to rise, this higher frequency air, starts to cool and its density starts to change. And in order to keep it at that level of frequency, we need to keep pushing hot air into it, blowing hot air into it, right? We got to fire up the propane, more hot air will go up, we'll turn off the propane, and that air eventually cools and we start to come back down into lower frequencies, right? That's what happens. And that is a resistant way of raising your frequency and moving into an ascension process. Okay, that is not sustainable. And that occurs when we head into resistance. When we're so focused on trying to keep our vibration high that we ignore the frequencies within us that are actually weighing us down. So we get fatigued. We get tired because our energy splits off, our energy gets scattered, and that eventually causes us to start to drop in frequency. And because that's an unsustainable way of navigating the ascension process. Okay, we can't just try to constantly raise our frequency, and that would happen. You know, those of you that have been listening to my channel, you've heard me talk about going etheric. Meaning that you're really pushing your frequency, your vibration higher, almost to an out-of-body feeling. And you're almost feeling detached from your physical body. And we do that and we think, hey, this feels great. I'm feeling really high vibrational. But what happens is we can't sustain that and then we come crashing down, right? And when we look at the balloon analogy, the air in the balloon, because we can't sustain that propane tank, that hot air, that flame, that's causing the balloon to rise, we can't sustain it, so eventually it shuts off and the balloon starts to sink because the air in the balloon gets more dense and the balloon starts to drop, right? So that's what's happening there, okay? So what do we do instead? Well, when we're in this balloon, we're in the basket and we're looking at what's in the basket, okay? Because ultimately, if we could reduce the weight of the basket, it's going to take less effort for the balloon to rise, right? We're going to have less resistance. We're not going to have to overcome as much force. So instead of moving into resistance and trying to raise the frequency of the balloon by putting more hot air into it, we look in the basket. And when we look in the basket, we start to see things that are weighing us down. Now, this is the body calling us back to itself. When we're in that etheric feeling and we start to feel tired, fatigued, we may start to get pain because we have essentially partially detached from our body. We've gone up into our mental body, our emotional body. Our awareness is not in the body. The body will call us home, and it will do that by saying we need to rest, we're fatigued, and throwing it out of the basket. Now, when we do that, we are really back in our body, and we are working with the energy as it flows through us, and we are bringing our awareness into the body, and we are transmuting and integrating this energy, the density. So when we can work within our body, become aware of these dense energetic areas within our body, and move our breath through it, and build this circuitry, what we're doing essentially is we're throwing the dense weight out of the basket. Okay, so now the balloon starts to rise on its own without us having to add more energy to the raising, to the flame, but without having to pump more hot air into it. It just kind of naturally starts to rise. So we can be focused on the basket that is now emptied of this dense energy or this weight and enjoy the ride, because essentially we're grounded in the body. We're focused on the body. We've cleared this density. So it's not so much the forcing our frequency high that puts us into resistance. It's more about focusing on the basket, focusing on our body, and integrating this dense energy, finding it and integrating it and raising its frequency so that that weight is no longer there. And that allows us to bring more energy of our soul's energy into the body, more presence into our body, more consciousness into our body, ground our higher self more, and make that rise up in frequency effortless. And that's what we're here to do, okay? So the key in this video that I want you guys to take away from it is to focus on the body and focus on the density. Let's get the weight out of the basket so that the balloon will naturally rise. That's what we want to do. Instead of staying in resistance and trying to continually force hot air up into the balloon to compensate for the weight that we're carrying and compensate for the cooling that's constantly happening, which is causing the balloon to sink. So that's being in resistance. So focus on that, see it that way, focus on the body, focus on building the circuitry using your breath work and meditating and finding these blockages of energy within your body and raising their frequency. And when we do that, we allow ourselves to be grounded, because that's a grounding exercise, and it allows us to create space. It allows us to naturally bring in more of our higher frequency energy, which in turn will lift our consciousness into the higher dimensions effortlessly without the resistance. So I hope this video resonated with you guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you have not already. I would really appreciate it. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, guys, love and light. Thank you.